So back there is Half Dome here in Yosemite Park. A teacher of mine once was told to put his office wherever you could see the horizon, and always get yourself to a point where you could see the farthest horizon, because the greater the horizon we have, the greater the objective viewpoint we have. Einstein was quoted as saying, "You cannot solve any problem if you're standing at the level of the problem in which you created it. You have to go to an area above in order to look down objectively at the whole thing, because when we're at that level, we only see things with blinders on. When we get above, we get to see the entire panoply, the entire picture. And when we come up here and we can look down at the greater Yosemite Valley behind me, the one lesson that I've gotten in all that is you don't just get handed that, you also work your way up in order to get that perspective. You start where you are and you start to grow. One of the reasons we get mentors or coaches or we consult doctors is because we're looking for an objective viewpoint from an area greater above from where we are looking down. And that objectivity is important. It's important in all aspects of everything we look at. When we can stop and we can take some of our emotional biased perspective out of it, and we can get up above and we can look down, we see a great deal. It usually calms down our emotions, and we're able to make more balanced and wise decisions when we get to that point. The other piece of that is there's something called the overview effect. If you get online and you look up the overview effect, there's a lovely video about it, and it's actually something that they talked about from the astronauts and the cosmonauts. Anybody that's left the circle of the Earth, and you can look back down and you have the objective from that point of not just seeing yourself from the level of the Earth and looking up at the sky and even just looking out at the beauty around me, but you look down at the entire globe and realize that you're a citizen of the world, rather than just being somebody who's down in this area, in this country, in this little region. We bring a greater perspective. It's said that a lot of those people that have been to space have a more profound impact in the world when they come back down. And they're fun people to read about, and they're fun people to listen to. Even Sir Richard Branson, when he went just barely breaking the plane of the outer atmosphere in his Virgin Galactic, at that point they were able to look and see the Earth rather than look down and just see the ground around them. It's a greater perspective even from being up in an airplane. And so that objectivity, if we look at our health objectively, instead of seeing that I got a symptom here, I got a pain here, we look down and look at ourselves as a whole. And you want to consult somebody that's going to see the wholeness around you. That's an objective viewpoint. And yes, it's important to be able to look at the fine-tuned specific little things, but it's also important to have that idea of the general and the whole at the same time that you've got that exact specific piece, because then you know you're greater than the sum of your parts, and there's a greater whole out there. If I can encourage anything, it's to get online, and it's to look up, as I spoke once before, I believe, if you get online and you look up Carl Sagan's speech on the pale blue dot, that was something where he said that when Voyager looked back and it saw that not only was the Earth one whole thing, it was just one tiny piece in this larger, vast, absolute, infinite universe that we have, that our entire species calls home. And there's such a greater objectivity and a greater profoundness about that. And so I encourage you to look at everything from yourself more objectively. Don't worry about your physicality. Look down at the whole and see how all the pieces fit. When you're looking at your finances, look down at the whole picture. Don't get caught up on this little piece, this little piece, this little piece. Look at the grand objective whole, and then start looking at the parts and what you need to do in order to make that whole more of that beautiful puzzle. I encourage you to create jigsaw puzzles. Jigsaw puzzles are one of the greatest ways to look at pieces and create a great objective whole out of it. And so enjoy that. But in the meantime, you can come to places like Yosemite and you can hike yourself up to a higher level in order to look down and see the vast beauty of everything together, and then go back down to the place where you came from and see it with new eyes. Because I believe it was the author that I can't think of at the moment, but a lovely author. He writes fantasy books, who I enjoy a lot of. He had a great quote. He said, "The reason we leave home is not to escape. The reason we leave home is so that after we travel, we can arrive back home with a brand new perspective." And so even getting out and traveling will give you a great objective viewpoint. And so I encourage you, all of this, for greater longevity, greater health in in every area of your life, in every aspect of your life, to look for the objective viewpoint, to get above the level of the problem and look down and see the solution to the problem, and get out of our day-to-day little specificities if we can. If any of this spoke to you, please don't hesitate to approach me or talk to Dr. Shanti in the office. We're always happy to talk to anybody else about this. If there's anything in there that, in fact, if you have your greatest takeaway, go ahead and post something down. If you watch this entire video, please let us know. We'd love to know. We can bring you more videos. Thank you very much.